Hello friends, welcome to my channel. Today we are going to discuss about recombinant DNA technology. In this topic, we are going to discuss about what is recombinant DNA technology, introduction of recombinant DNA technology, what are the different types of enzymes involved in rDNA technology, types of vector, good properties of the vector, then the procedure of making the recombinant DNA and various methods of gene transformation. See that? This is a slide just to explain what is a recombinant DNA. Suppose we have pearls of single color and we want to make a necklace, and we have the pearls having the different colors. But instead of preparing the necklace of single colored pearls, if we are going to add the different colors in the necklace, see that it is more attractive. So it is just like the recombinant DNA technology. So what we are going to do here in the recombinant DNA technology, there is artificial preparation of DNA by combining two characters, and that DNA we call as an recombinant DNA. So we see the definition of recombinant DNA. So see that the recombinant DNA, it is one of the artificial DNA which is formed by combination of genetic material from two different organisms. That's why I will give you one of the example of pearl. So see that the single color pearl, this is the DNA of one organism, and colored pearls, these are the genetic material from another organism. And if we want to combine that genetic material, then the formulated DNA, that DNA we called it as an artificial DNA. So just see that this is our gene of interest. So what is the gene of interest? So gene of interest means those genes we want to insert into the host species, that we call it as a gene of interest. So for example, all of you know that the bt cotton, okay, so that bt, it comes from the bacillus thuringiensis, okay. So the disease resistant ability from the bacillus thuringiensis, it get transferred into the cotton plants. That's why the name of cotton is bt cotton, that is the genetically modified cotton which has the disease resistant ability. So here what we are going to do, we have to transfer the genes from bacillus thuringiensis into the cotton plant. So this is nothing but the making of recombinant DNA. And after making the recombinant DNA, the next process is the formulation of genetically modified plants or animals. So see that the gene of interest, it is for example the disease resistant gene, or if you want to increase the carbohydrate percentage in particular um, plant, or if you want to increase the vitamin A content, just like golden rice, okay. So this is your gene of interest, and whenever your gene of interest, it get inserted into the vector, see that vector, it also has its own DNA, and it get combined along with the DNA of that vector. So that vector, that formulated DNA, we called it as an rDNA. Okay, that's why it is called as an recombinant one. So see that this recombinant DNA technology, it was first introduced by the scientist, that is Werner Erber. in the year 1968, and he was the Swiss microbiologist. So see that there are several steps which are included in the recombinant DNA technology. It is not so simple to make the recombinant DNA. So for that technology, we require the gene of interest, the selection of desired gene, selection of vector, selection of particular host, then selection of gene transformation method, then integration of that recombinant gene into the host species. So these are the several steps which are included up to the formulation of recombinant plant or recombinant animal. So just see here what we require to formulate a recombinant DNA. See this one, this is the isolated DNA. So that whole isolated DNA we can't transfer into the vector. Okay, just we have to transfer our gene of interest. So for that one we require enzyme, that is to cut that large DNA fragment into the smaller fragments. Similar way we have to select the vector also. That vector we have to cut. Okay, until the vector get cut we are not able to transfer the gene of interest into the vector. That's why the cutting of vector is also important. After cutting of vector, there is insertion of gene of interest into the vector. After insertion of the foreign DNA, or you can say the gene of interest into the vector, there must be sealing, or there must be sticking of that foreign DNA into that plasmid. So that one, once again we require different types of enzyme. See here, then this formulated vector, okay, or we call it as an recombinant DNA. That recombinant DNA we have to transfer into the specific host. So inside that host there is a multiplication of our recombinant DNA along with the DNA of host species. Okay, and then by using the different gene transformation methods we have to introduce that host into the different types of plants or animals to formulate the recombinant plants or animals, or you can say that the genetically modified plants or animals. So see that for the cutting of that DNA, for the cutting of that plasmid, then for rejoining of that plasmid we require different types of enzyme. For the multiplication of that DNA we require different types of enzymes. So it is not an easy task to make a recombinant DNA. So now we are going to study what are the different types of enzymes which are involved in our DNA technology. So see that the first enzyme, that is DNA ligase, reverse transcriptase, restriction endonucleases, terminal transferase, nuclease, DNA polymerase, ribonuclease H, alkaline phosphatase, and polynucleotide kinase. These are several enzymes which are involved or which has the specific role in recombinant DNA technology. So let's first see what are the restriction endonucleases. See that in simple word, restriction endonucleases are the endonucleases which are isolated from the bacteria, and the main function of that restriction endonuclease is to cut the DNA at specific sites, or that specific sites we call it as an restriction sites. Okay, so this is the main function of restriction endonucleases. Okay, that due to its function these restriction endonucleases are also called as molecular scissors. See that the question is that if the restriction endonucleases they are isolated from the bacteria, why the bacterial genetic material cannot cut by that restriction endonucleases? So see that the bacterial genome or the bacteria shows a special property, and that property is known as methylation. So the methylation of bases, it is responsible to restrict the DNA or bacterial DNA from its cutting by the restriction endonucleases. So see that the restriction endonucleases, which are isolated from the bacteria, they are categorized under three types. That is restriction endonuclease type first, restriction endonuclease type second, and restriction endonuclease type third. So depending upon whether the ATP are required to cut the DNA and at what site or at what recognition site the DNA is going to be cut, depending upon that two criteria, the restriction endonucleases, they are going to divide into these three categories. So according to type first, the restriction endonuclease type first, they requires ATP to cut the DNA. Then see that we define the restriction endonucleases as they have the ability to cut the DNA at proper recognition sites. So see here, the type first restriction endonuclease, they cut the DNA 1000 base pair apart from its recognition site, and its example is EcoKI. Then second type of restriction endonucleases, these are most important, and basically for rDNA technology we are going to use second type of restriction endonucleases. This endonuclease, that does not require ATP to cut the DNA, as well as these type of restriction endonuclease, they cut the DNA at their restriction sites. For example, EcoR1, HIN3, etc. Then the type third restriction endonucleases. So it requires ATP to cut the DNA, and they cut the DNA 25 base pair apart from its restriction sites. So it is so easy to remember that type first restriction endonuclease, they are different from type third because they cut the DNA 1000 base pair away from their site of recognition, and the type third, they cut the DNA 25 base pair apart from its restriction site. So see that due to its cutting activity, or as the restriction endonucleases, they cut the DNA, okay, that's why they are called as an molecular scissors. See that these are the names of certain restriction enzymes and their cutting sites. See here, for example, BAMH1, it will cut the DNA in between G and G. Then HIN3, it will cut the DNA in between A and A. So these are the different types of restriction enzymes and their cutting sites. Then the next and most important enzyme which is required in recombinant DNA technology, that is the DNA ligase. See that by using the restriction endonuclease, we are going to cut the DNA as well as we are going to cut the vector. But for the rejoining of them, we require a molecular glue, and that molecular glue is nothing but the DNA ligase. So DNA ligase, due to its binding ability or its rejoining ability, this DNA ligase is called as a molecular glue. Okay, so see that this DNA ligase, it is isolated from E. coli and bacteriophages. It is used in recombinant DNA technology, and the main function of this enzyme is to join the DNA fragments. See here, if you observe this image, see here, these are the restricted DNA, or you can say that after application of restriction endonucleases, see here, there is a cutting of that DNA fragments, and that cut DNA fragments, they get rejoined with the help of that DNA ligase. Then the next enzyme which is involved in recombinant DNA technology, that is the reverse transcriptase. And the main function, so reverse transcriptase, it also has the main function, because if there is absence of reverse transcriptase, there is no formulation of complementary strands, okay, or there is no elongation of DNA fragments. So see that it is used, this reverse transcriptase, it is used to synthesize the complementary strands, okay. So basically this reverse transcriptase, it use mRNA, and from this mRNA there is a formation of complementary DNA. So this reverse transcriptase, it is also called as an RNA dependent DNA polymerase. And see that this enzyme, it is isolated from the retrovirus. So just simple, see here, this enzyme, it is responsible for formation of complementary DNA with the help of mRNA template. Then the next enzyme which is involved in recombinant DNA technology, that is the terminal transferase. So see that what is the property of terminal transferase. See that earlier we have studied the restriction endonucleases. So see that whenever the restriction endonucleases, they cut the DNA at specific sites, they will formulate two types of end: blunt end as well as sticky ends. Sticky ends means what? Sticky end means if at the both side, means whenever the restriction endonuclease, it will cut. See here, there is one example. If this restriction endonuclease, it will cut the DNA at the site A and A. So see here, if at both the strands the sequence is complementary to each other, okay, the whenever the DNA ligase, it will get applied at this site, there is a rapid rejoining of that fragment, that we called it as an sticky ends. Sticky ends are nothing but the complementary ends, okay. There is no problem of rejoining of that fragment. But see that after cutting with the restriction endonuclease, if they forms the blunt ends. What are blunt ends? Whenever the sequence is not complementary. So at that time, how the DNA fragments, they get rejoined? So at that time, the terminal transferase will help. This terminal transferase, it will make a short sequence of complementary nucleotides. Understand? This terminal transferase, it will make, or it will formulate a small sequence of complementary nucleotides, and there is, and the blunt ends, they get converted into the sticky ends, okay. Then after the application of DNA ligase, the rejoining of that fragments takes place, okay. So this is the function of terminal transferase. In simple way, you remember that the conversion of blunt end into the sticky ends, this is the main function of terminal transferase. Then the next enzyme, that is the nucleases. So see that the enzyme nucleases, the main function of them is they hydrolyze the phosphodiester bond of DNA, okay. It usually cuts the DNA and at the either sides. Basically these nucleases, they will act as an intercalating agent, and the gap which is formed due to the presence of that nucleases, that gap, it is filled by our next enzyme, that is DNA polymerase. So just see here what are the nucleases. So the main property of the nucleases is they hydrolyzes the phosphodiester bond of the DNA, okay. Then see that there are two types of nucleases, that is endonucleases and exonucleases. The next one, the next enzyme, that is the DNA polymerase. And see that the main function or main key role which is played by the DNA polymerase is elongation of DNA strand. Basically the DNA polymerase, it is used in PCR technology, see that in the PCR technology, we know that enzyme as an Taq polymerase. So this is one of the thermostable enzyme, and the most important property of that enzyme is to make the complementary strands and to elongate the strands. Okay. Basically, these DNA polymerases, they are isolated from the E. coli. Okay. And the Taq polymerases which are used in PCR, it is isolated from the Thermus aquaticus. Then the next enzyme which is involved in this technology, that is ribonuclease H. The main property of ribonuclease H is it will remove mRNA from the DNA RNA heteroduplex. See that this is the DNA RNA heteroduplex. So from that one, removal of mRNA. Okay. Uh, there is removal of mRNA, and that removed mRNA, it will act as a template to synthesize the complementary DNA. Okay. See that. So this ribonuclease H is isolated from the retrovirus. Then the next enzyme, that is alkaline phosphatase, and the main property of that enzyme is it helps to remove the terminal phosphate group from 5' end of DNA. Okay. The alkaline phosphatase, it will remove the phosphate group from the 5' end, as well as it will prevent the self annealing of vector. Okay. After its cutting by restriction endonucleases. Then the next enzyme which is involved in this technology, that is the polynucleotide kinase. And see here what is the property of this enzyme. So it will add the phosphate group at the 5' end. Okay. The main function of polynucleotide kinase is it will add the phosphate groups at the 5' end. So see that these are the different enzymes and their properties which are used in recombinant DNA technology. Now moving towards next, see that what are the different steps which are involved in recombinant DNA technology. That is, first step is isolation of genetic material, cutting of genes at their recognition sites, selection of vector and its restriction digestion, then the amplification of gene copies with the help of polymerase chain reaction, then the ligation of DNA molecule, insertion of recombinant DNA into the host cell. So these are the steps which are involved in preparation of recombinant DNA technology. So one by one we are going to see that. See here, in the first step, that is the isolation of genetic material by using the different processes of DNA isolation. You can use the enzymatic method. You can use several kits from to isolate the DNA from plant, animal, or from bacteria. From any one of the vector, you are able to isolate the DNA. After isolating the DNA, the next step, what you have to do, not remember that not whole DNA we are able to transfer into the host plant. The some part or the gene in which we are interested, only that part we have to cut and transfer into the vector. Okay. So for that, the next step is restriction digestion. Okay. That's why whatever the isolated DNAs are there, we have to allow them for restriction digestion by using different types of restriction endonucleases. So see that here, this is the whole DNA. We don't require that whole DNA. We just require some part or the part in which we are interested. So by using the specific restriction endonucleases, we have to cut that DNA, okay, at specific sites. See here, after cutting along with the restriction endonucleases, there is formation of small fragments of the DNA. Then the next step which we require here, that is the use of vectors or selection of vectors. So see that under this recombinant technology, there are various vectors like plasmids, cosmids, bacterial artificial chromosome, yeast artificial chromosome, lambda, phage, agrobacterium. So depending upon our interest or whatever, depending upon the suitable vector, depending upon what type of host we are going to select. So according to that type, you have to select the vectors. So these are the several vectors which we are used in recombinant DNA technology. Then see that what are the properties, what type of vector you are going to choose to carry out the recombinant DNA. So see that the first important thing, that is, it should be easy to isolate. Then it should have the proper recognition sites to cut by the restriction endonuclease. Then next, it should easily incorporate into the host cell. Okay. Then the vector should not interact with host DNA. Then the next property is that it should have an ability to replicate the interested DNA or the gene of our interest. So those vectors which have the properties like that, you have to select that vector to carry out the recombinant DNA technology. So basically, that vectors we also called as an expression vectors. Why they are expression vectors? Because they express our gene of interest. Okay, that's why it is also called as an expression vector. Then see that this is once again, see here, this is the gene of interest. By using the restriction enzyme, we are going to cut it. Then there is a selection of vector. Okay, after selection of vector, once again by using the restriction endonuclease, we have to cut that vector. After cutting off that vector, we have to insert the gene of interest into the vector, and we have to recombine that DNA, or we have to recombine or rejoin that vector. Okay, after rejoining the vector, see that we have to amplify the DNA. And why there is a need to amplify the DNA? Because see that whatever the amount of gene of interest, it should be less. Okay, so for to carry out the further processes like PCR, determination of molecular weight, or see that there are various methods like RFLP, AFLP, RAPD, DNA fingerprinting. So to carry out all that further procedures, that small DNA or that small gene of interest, it is not sufficient. So that's why before entering into the host species, there should be proper amplification of gene of interest, should be done by using the PCR techniques. So generally we are going to carry out the PCR up to 32 up to 35 cycles. So after 32 or 35 cycles, we are able to get millions of copies of the DNA, and we can carry out the further processes. See that the next step, that is the ligation of DNA molecules, means whenever we are going to cut the vector and we are going to insert our gene of interest. So after that, the rejoining of that vector is necessary. So that rejoining, it will that rejoining can take place with the help of DNA ligase we have seen earlier. So see that the next step is there is a ligation of DNA molecule. That's why there is proper rejoining of the vector can take place. And the next step, that is the insertion into host species. So see that this is our recombinant plasmid. Here you have to select the host. Okay. So host also, it has the property to replicate our recombinant DNA along with the DNA of its own. Okay. So see here we are going to transfer that recombinant DNA into the E. coli. Basically, we are going to use the E. coli as an host cell. So it shows the presence of our recombinant DNA along with the DNA of its own. Okay. So this cell, we call it as a transform cell, and with the help of different techniques. See that what are the different gene transformation methods, that is the electroporation, microinjection, gene gun bombardment, agrobacterium mediated gene transformation. So these are the various gene transformation methods which we are going to use to transfer that transform cell into the different plant or animal species. So see here, this is the first technique, that is the electroporation. So under that technique, by applying the electric impulse, see here, whenever we are going to apply the electric impulse, the cell membrane, it get highly porous one, or it get burst. Then after there is after bursting or after increasing the pore size, the gene of interest, it get enter inside the cell, and due to the cell healing property, all of we know that every cell, it has its own healing property. So due to its healing property, the whole cell membrane, it get rejoins again once again. So this is one method, we called it as an electroporation. Then the second method, see here, we call it as an gene gun bombardment. See here, this is our plant cell in which we have to transfer the recombinant genes. So see here, this is the disc in which on which you have to see here, this is the disc, and here there are gold plated particles of DNA. So by applying the pressure, see here, that disc, it get inserted into this plant cell. So whatever our DNA which get coated with gold particles, they will enter into the plant cell. So this method, we called it as an gene gun method. Then the third method, we call it as a micro injection. So see here, what we have to do, basically we are going to use that technique under the plant tissue culture. So here basically the host cell, we have to hold it into the holding pipette, and by using the micro injection, see that this is the micro injection which contain the foreign DNA. That foreign DNA, with the help of injection, we have to insert into the host nucleus. Okay. Or see that if you apply that process in the tissue culture, so you can directly transfer the gene of interest into the callus also. Then the next one, that is the agrobacterium tumefaciens. So see that whenever we are interested to prepare the genetically modified plants, so basically we are going to use the agrobacterium tumefaciens. And see that here the plasmid which is present in the agrobacterium, we call it as an TI plasmid. It has the specific property, that is it causes tumor to the plants. Okay. So after inserting our gene of interest, that plasmid we have to transfer into the host plant. Okay. So whenever the host plant, it will formulate some crown gall like structures, so we are able to recognize that our gene of interest, it get entered and properly work inside that plant. So thank you. If you like this video, please like, share and subscribe my channel. Thank you.